I am going to demonstrate how to cut the templates out in an efficient manner. So I just use a long ruler and my paper cutter, rotary cutter. Line the ruler up along the edges. I designed them so that you could cut them apart and multiples so that you don't have to cut out in each individual. Okay, I've cut out horizontally so I can cut multiples at once. I'm going to just use my paper scissors and I'm just going to cut along the line. In 7 minutes I cut out 35 of the templates. These are in the travel section. They hold Q-tips. Oops, Q-tips. And you can just pop them open. They have a little tray. You can store your templates in there and they stay nice and safe and clean. And you can see through it to know what you've got. So those are some tips on how to use the templates, how to cut them, and how to store them. Today we're going to look at the 3/4 inch hexagons. No matter what size hexagons you're working with, the same principles are going to apply. These are made from scraps that I've cut and just really pieced in travel, but we can do them by hand and we can do them by machine. I did say that we are going to be using scraps. I think the most efficient way to do this is to cut strip. Use the template to cut out multiples, probably get 8 per cut. I'm going to take my template, which I've cut out from the main package, and I'm going to use a pin, slide it underneath there, and pull the paper off. Then I want to put the template on a piece of fabric, and I'm going to use a different fabric than that so that I can see the difference between them, and that'll make sense in a minute. I'm going to add a quarter ruler and rotary cutter and just trim this one out. Okay, so we have this, and I like to trim it out so that I'm not trying to center it on the strips that we cut. So here I've got a piece of wrap fabric, and I'm going to look for the longest line that I can find, so when I cut a strip, I get the most out of it. So we're going to fold that so it's a little easier to cut. Trim off the frayed edge so we have a clean edge. We're going to take the template that we, the piece of fabric shape that we trimmed out before, and we're going to measure it so we know what size strips we want. So we want, this is 1, and then this is 3/4. And I'm showing you over here because it's harder to see over here, but I have put an arrow there so that I know where that line is to cut on when I'm trimming out the strips. We're going to cut a few more strips, and you can see that I'm lined up with the arrows. It really helps to have those arrows so that you don't have to figure out what line you're on all the time. So we make a cut, and right here we have the scrap area. While I'm right here, I might just trim that off, fold this down. Then I want to stack. I tend to put the longest ones on the bottom, and I like to cut 4 strips. That way that I get 8 hexagons with each cut. So we'll cut another strip, and as we go through, you're going to see, oh, that one's not too bad either. So that's surprising. We got quite a bit out of that. So line that one up. That gives us 3 strips. Maybe we'll just go with that so that you don't have to watch me find the other strip. This will get us 6. Line them up. Okay, and then we're going to take the template that we put on the contrasting fabric, so it's just easier to find, and it's just easier to line this up with the edges than to try and put the template right into the center. So then we use our add a quarter ruler. The ruler just butts up right against the template, so it makes for easy cutting. So we're going to just do that. Another cut. Okay. So that gave us six hexagons. And like I said, most of the time I'll do 4 strips. This one is just going to line up right here, and that's going to mean we have one less cut to make on the side. So cut there again, there. So then we've got another 6. We can just go right down the strip and get quite a few cuts done so that you have all sorts of hexagons made out of scraps. So the next thing we'll look at is sewing the hexagons together by hand and by machine. And today I'm going to show you how easy it is to sew the shapes together. I have the English paper piecing made modern template stuck on here, and I've sewed these 2 together, one by machine, one by hand, but I'm going to show you how to do it by hand right now. So I'm going to just line this up, right sides together, flip it over, and I'm going to just start at the edge right here. I have a knot in my thread, and then I'm going to just stitch along the edge to the other corner, and the template just bends to make it easy for you, but still sticks on. Sew to that corner, make a little knot, and then you open it up. Looks great. I've stacked them up in the order they go on, so I'm going to just pick up another one, maybe, and line it up with the edges. And if you want to pin it, you can. Sometimes I do. It just depends on if it's cooperating. Oh, I went to the wrong side. Oh. Usually you don't need to re-knot it, because if you go to the right side, you can just go all the ways around the center. That was a little timeout so I could get going in the right directions. I want to go around the way in the direction that I'm comfortable sewing so that I don't have to break my thread. So just straight stitch along the edge, corner to corner, and I just use a neutral thread because it doesn't show at all, so I don't have to worry about that. And since I'm not whip stitching, it doesn't show at all. And if I wanted to sew these by machine, I could. All right, so there's my stitching. Open it up, pick up my next piece, just line it up and hold on to it, and continue to stitch around from corner to corner, not sewing into the seam allowances. I took a little time out so you wouldn't have to watch me sew around. All of them are sewn together. So this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to just remove the template and move it to one of the outside pieces. Line it up with my stitching lines, making reasonably sure that the edges are pretty much the same. It just sticks on there. Then I'm going to flip this around because I haven't sewn through the seam allowances. I can do that. Again, line it up. I can just start sewing again from corner to corner, tacking at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so I've sewn this together on the sides, and once again just flip the next one up on the other side of the template, line them up again, and start stitching right at the corner. I've sewed both those sides together, that like that. I'm going to just remove the template, and I'm going to go to every other one. That way I don't have to move it every time, and I can sew 2 sides of that and flip it up, line it up, and stitch across again, and just continue the process. And the templates can be reused 5-10 times. Even when they get a little floppy, they still stick and work for you. So that's how easy English paper piecing made modern can be.
All right, we're going to machine piece hexagons. And like I demonstrated before, to take the big paper backing off the back, you just insert, the thinner the pin, the better. Remove the backing. And I have these stacked up so that they're the order that we want to piece. And you stick it on the back. All right, so we've got this in the center. We're going to pick up our next shape and just put right sides together. Put your needle down at the corner, and you want to tack at the beginning and tack at the end. Cut your thread, trim, open it up. We're going to just add our next shape. So right sides together, line it up, get a hold of your thread, tack at the beginning, tack at the end, cut your threads, and repeat. So these are just in the order that I want to piece them, so I don't have to figure it out. I just lay that out beforehand and then stack them up in the order that they will be sewn on. And if your machine tacks for you at the beginning, at the end, it can be a real time saver in having to back up and tack. If you just have those settings, it's helpful. And I want to get these all pieced around so that you can see what the next step is. Last one. Nope, no, two more. Okay, right sides together. Pull that one out. Make sure I know which one I'm stitching on. Okay. Here. Last one, and I would like that to open up like that, so I'm going to place it there. And then make sure these are just pulled out of the way. Usually I can pretty much just set my foot down and aim in the right place, and it ends up well. So we've got all those pieced around there. We'll open it up. We have our flower, and then the magic is just remove the template, move it out to another hexagon that we want to stitch on either side. So we're going to just flip this up, get these guys out of the way, and we're going to sew that side, so you kind of have to pay attention to what side you're working on. So we just sew there, and we've got the same principle as the last time. So we sew there, do the other side, just flip it up, line it up, and I'm aiming for the corner of the template. Stitch it down, tack. Okay, and this is the part that I wanted to get to. So we've got both of those sides sewn, and what we want to do is move this template to every other one, so we can sew both sides at once versus moving it here and sewing this side and then going around. So we'll just fold this up, and it ripped a little bit, but it's still usable. Place it up against your stitching lines and in the middle. Flip your sides up and stitch. And sometimes if it's not lined up perfectly right, it's fine, because you're stitching around the template and you're going to come up with the perfect shape there. And I just wanted to end with, you can reuse the template, move it around, and continue to add to all sides of your hexagon. There are additional videos on YouTube under Sewforever, and there's lots of other tips and and tutorials to help you accomplish English paper piecing made modern. Thank you.